All right, guys, good morning. How are we all doing? Sorry, I'm a bit late. I was just actually just messing around with my daughter. So just sitting down at the charts now. Now we have obviously a FTSE 100 that I'm still interested in. I've still got the short on here. How did that DAX go? So yesterday we were talking about the DAX as a selling opportunity, which was, we took this on the 15. Now, I don't know whether you guys are still in this or not. After I looked at it, I mean, from where you would have had your stops. Let's just see where you'd be. Yeah, the stop that we were talking about was up there yesterday. So now above the daily pivot, that's not going to help things out too much, I see. And it might be the same case with the FTSE. Actually, global equities did pretty well in the end yesterday as we open up the market. So probably going to need to see how this goes this morning, but it is suggesting a push to the upside. Now, whether you want to clear out of that, I will leave up to you, obviously. With the FTSE, I've held on to my position, and I'm going to try to continue to do so. I haven't moved stops just yet. Wasn't interested in the spikes overnight. Let's just double check and see what's happening to that DAX. Yeah, this is the problem, isn't it? That the FTSE kind of I ended up choosing the FTSE yesterday over the DAX. I was going to take a trade on the DAX as we were analysing it, but I ended up choosing the FTSE over the DAX just because it's generally underperforming the DAX. So I thought I'd go with that. And what we do have is markets that have opened up. Actually, very positively, actually, as we start the session. Yeah, very positively. Now, the data from the UK might, I don't know how this can sustain to really go down too far, but let's see how it ends up going. I can tell you that there's trend lines along here. For this really to collapse, there's a couple. There's this one here. And there is also this one here, which is probably going to hold out. So this is a buying opportunity, really, with a FTSE. And due to that, I will consider closing down this position rather than staying with it. I'm just going to watch it just for a moment. Let's just see if things change here. Doesn't look to me like might have to check this on short-term time frames. It really does need to give way here. What I might do at this stage is just move stops to break even. If they're at the very let me just see what I got. See what profit there is. 117. Not a great deal, is it? I might have to move stops to break even, only because the equities really across the board seem to have done okay, and actually the market looks fairly strong now. But I wouldn't mind giving it a chance to break down. So I'm just going to move this down here. I think there's a fairly good chance I'm going to get stopped out here, but I'd like to give it some time. Let's just check across the board. S&P, fairly buoyant. Uh, 61.20 to 61.21 is 1 pip, mate. That's 1 pip. The DAX got taken off. Maybe not the worst thing in the world, Alan. Maybe not the worst thing in the world. It's global equities have struggled to go in the direction that I thought they would. You know, I thought we were going to get a proper move, but we haven't had that yet. So I might be joining you in it getting taken off as well. You know, might not have had the trade that I thought we'd had, but you know, as I say, just want to give it enough chance to get there. Yeah, you're right, Dennis. One pip is absolutely right. It is that. Right, let's check the DAX again. I mean, there's a few a few signals here, isn't there? And I can tell you. So let's have a look at the DAX as well. Actually, FTSE's weakening a little bit now, which is a bit more positive. So I might have a chance of making some money here. There's almost patterns within patterns again, which are conflicting. I'm gonna have to just calibrate my pen here. I think we're on 3. Nope. Oh, I'm just going to get my pen sorted. There we go. Okay. Right. Yeah, so patterns within patterns. Now, it may well be a shorter show today, guys, because I am in on my own today. This Chloe wasn't feeling too hot last night, and didn't get the best night's rest. Jeff will be back tomorrow next week though, which is great. Now, this patterns within patterns. So you've kind of got maybe this going on here, giving you a higher right shoulder. Now that's going to kind of leave a neckline slanted to the upside, probably around there somewhere. Could continue to bash its head there. Now the thing about you know, if you've got stopped out at a break even, that's not the worst thing in the world, because realistically, if this really is to break down now, then you are probably going to need to see it you know, genuinely come down and give you a break of the bar of the level, and it just give you a bit more confidence. You know, if it was below the daily pivot, that certainly would make me feel a bit more comfortable about having the trade. I think it's worth trying to get back in. The upside on the DAX, let's just double check. Yeah, the FTSE looks okay. The FTSE looks fairly stable right now. It doesn't look like it's breaking down. Doesn't. Oh, actually, yeah, it's breaking down a little bit. It's breaking down a little bit. The sentiment on the FTSE is just getting a bit weaker now, which is a good thing. So I might be okay with this stop. I'm tempted to move it up there, but if it closes down here, then I'll feel a lot more comfortable about things, and probably I will leave my stop there. If it breaks down here, I probably will leave my stop there. There's no major reason to shift it up there, because it should have enough in the way of resistance to keep it down. Now, oh, okay, yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? You know, and this is the thing about stops, and I don't like particularly having a stop too near price overnight because of spread. You know, you probably noticed, but they increased the spread significantly enough to take you out, even though there's literally no direction in the market. But by the same token, if you don't do that, and the market starts to go significantly higher, then you're in all sorts of trouble. So, I see. Yeah, on the DAX, yeah. Now the DAX will cost you slightly more for the same, but yeah, with the DAX, yeah. So you're really looking at 21 to 20. So, and I can see where the confusion is. because we focus on these big numbers, don't we, with the currencies. But when it comes down to the FTSE, then we're not really focusing on these big numbers so much. We're really focusing on the 60 changing to 61.60 going down to 61.50 is a 10 pip change. It's a change of 10 pips. So Daily waiver on no trades. Maybe that's why she's unwell. Do you know, actually, talking of that, we were talking about. Oh, we can't look at it here, can we? We were talking about the Sing, weren't we? The dollar Sing, and it caused a bit of an issue, as far as I'm aware. Let me just double check the dollar Sing. What happened with that? Do you see a little bit of weakness coming into play with the FTSE? I'm going to check the DAX as well. I suppose when I say weakness, you can see it expressed on the chart, but there's just a bit of underlying weakness. Oh gosh, the DAX is really, really bad actually. No, is that right? Oh no, we're not getting a read from the DAX just yet in saying that, so that might be why we're floating around okay right now. Let me just check the Kakaron. Kakaron's not giving me anything. Yeah, the FTSE, FTSE, I do see some weakness. Now, I don't know if it's going to be sustained. Certainly, what we do have with the FTSE, on the bigger picture, and we'll have a look at this on a couple of different time frames. But on the bigger picture, we do have the head and shoulders pattern here. And as I say, I decided to go for the FTSE instead of the DAX because they both looked weak, pretty much at the same time. And you remember me saying the 62 to between 62.10 and 62.20. And 62.20 was my price point, and it came up to 62.20 pretty much bang on. I was a little bit late. I got in at 62 flat, but the fact is, it tested that level, and as soon as it tested that level and rejected it, then I was interested. It didn't test the pivot by quite, but it did test the price point. In fact, it was 62. We're talking about yesterday, weren't we? It almost tested the pivot. 62.14 it ended up at, and then it rejected. So as it was rejecting, I got into that one. And you can see that it's rejected it again today. So looking like we're breaking down. We've still got another 50 minutes to go before we can say that that this is genuinely on the move. Let's just check back the DAX. Now the DAX, from what I can see, I don't have the data that I need on. I'd like to see the DAX break down as well. That would make me feel a lot more comfortable about holding the FTSE. In saying that with stops at break even, it's a pretty nice position now, because if it does come up, I would suspect the likelihood is the trend to the downside is probably done. If it comes up now, I think it's probably going to try and get through here. The only thing we do have to have in our way is jobs data. Let's see what we got. There's the low. 61.35 is the real price. I think it's got to get through. I think if it gets through here, then we should get a move down to 6,000. Should, but it's got to get through 61.35. I think that's the significant price point. Now over in the States, we have jobs data, and that may well stop this market traveling. I'm not 100% sure what's driving the FTSE, because the other markets seem to be doing okay. So let's check out some numbers. And so we got what we got. RICS house prices were down less than expected. Now let's just have a look at this, because there's been a boost in potential growth for the housing market with Rishi Sunak's pledge to lift stamp duty until March, I believe is right. So we're looking for a potential pickup in this number, and that's probably going to be next month that we're going to get this this pickup. Now, anybody interested in stocks, then watching the RICS house price is going to be really important if you're looking at investing in Barratt Homes or Taylor Wimpey or even British Land Security, something like that. So so looking at this number is going to be quite important, and it suggests that it's better than previous and better than forecast as well. So that was a what is it? Level of diffusion. Next read is August above the 0. Now I don't know. I suppose it would have been for the prior month. So the prior month's house price index, it looks like it's moved up. Now we want to see whether it does the same in August, because if it does, that might suggest some upside to Taylor Wimpey. I have to say, the chart on Taylor Wimpey is a bit of a horror show, and it would suggest that actually they're more likely to come down technically than go up. So I wouldn't be that comfortable trading Taylor Wimpey, but it does suggest that we should be watching this number. Machine orders, not sure about that. Money supply, what have they got? So we're increasing on that. Interesting. So they've increased their own money supply. Business confidence, CPI in China, very important number. Somehow coming in as a yellow folder. And that's pretty steady. Now, I wonder whether that's steady because it's pegged. No, it does increase. So steady CPI, PPI year on year, which is the purchasing price index. So that is a beat, but it's low. Machine orders is up in Japan. So that's suggesting a bit of economic growth in businesses needing machinery to produce goods. And the preliminary machine slightly better. German trade balance at 7.6 billion. Do you know what? That's probably not the best number in some respects for the DAX. It might, well, actually that probably is indicative of the tools used by the EU. And then we got unemployment claims out later. That's the number which might halt the market going in any specific direction, and that's out at 130. And tomorrow, what do we have? Some more money supply data from China. We'll maybe look at that. New loans could be quite important. Let me just see if that's private sector or public. To consumers and businesses. So that might be an important number. So they're expecting an uptick in that as businesses do go out and loan. Now, whether that manifests itself into investment is the key with that one. So it's only going to be half the picture. And core PPI and PPI from the US tomorrow. So there's a few things out there that could shape the direction here. Harter, no problem. Let's have a look if I've got that. I'm not sure if I do. Well, interestingly, the S&P is not breaking down. And the Nasdaq, how's the DAX doing now? Yeah, it's not a huge weakness. Just the FTSE so far is a little bit weak, but the others don't seem to be expressing the same. Do I have Harter? Let's see. Yeah, the DAX has opened up fairly solidly, actually. Might be just weakening a shade. I don't have that. I don't have Asian stocks. I've got every European stock and every American stock, but no Asian stocks, I don't think. Unless they are traded on 2 exchanges. No, I don't see that. Sorry, sorry, Sino, I don't have that. No, it's not the daily wave rider, mate. No, it's not. Yes, so this is generated from the price action course. Well, the TP1, certainly we could look at this. We could certainly look at this 61.35. That would be that's the area that I suspect is going to get a little bit of kickback from that particular point. So you could look at 61.35. I would really like to see it down to 6,000. Let me just double check that number. Yeah, but look at this. 61.35 looks pretty solid, doesn't it? So I would suggest that we should be probably looking at taking something off the table there. I wouldn't be saying that. I'd be quite happy to wait for the 6,000. But my problem is that the S&P continues to hold where it's at. It's not really shaping down. If this breaks down, my view will change. So I will switch it down to 6,000. But yeah, already in the FTSE, Mudla. Yeah, sorry, mate. We'll talk about the pound in a moment as well. Yeah. Yeah, this needs to break down, Lewis. So watch out for the S&P. Just have a look at some of the other stocks out there, because really it would help if they all started to break down. If they all start to break down, then we can leave the FTSE where it is and just enjoy the fact that we've got one. We've got one of them that is going down. If they continue to hold, and they are, this is a higher high at the minute. So if that creates a higher low in here, and it's in coordinates with the 61.35 level, then I think we should probably be starting to take profit. So let's use it again, as always, as a soft target. So the first soft target is this 61.35. You might want to shift it to 61.40 or something, but it's in this area. Not quite as high as it is now. I'd still want to see it down, between 42 and 35, something like that. But really, it'd be great to see this on a longer term time frame breaking down. But we're going to have to be careful, because there's no point in us not taking a bit of profit if it's just going to bounce all the way back up again. And we got to watch the S&P for that. And you don't have to watch the chart; just watch the ticker. It's at 31.65. Just see if that does start to break down. If you need to put all your other ones up the top there, worth watching the German economy. The Nasdaq is a kind of a bit of a beast of its own, so not so important to watch the Nasdaq's numbers, but watching the Dow and which is this down here, and the S&P. So 26,000 would be a good point to start looking at as a gauge if the Dow's breaking down. The US 500 breaking down from 31 to 65 would also be quite a good thing. So you can watch those two. Seeing a lot of weakness on S&P H4. There's a bit, isn't there? There is a little bit. And I quite like I quite like the potential for this to have broken down as well. It's just it's a bit of a weird sort of pattern. It's a strange one actually, because you know the other thing about global stocks is that there are headwinds without it being a full-blown gale, and that's what we need for this really to kind of like start genuinely breaking down a price point, because the S&P has just managed to hang on, and it might end up right the way back up here again before it starts coming down. If that was to happen, it's gonna destroy the FTSE trade to the downside. You know, that's the last thing I want to see. I want to see this break down, genuinely break down. By tomorrow, it'd be great if this was some sort of shooting star. You can see the gap there. So that's going to start looking like a shooting star. If that looks like that by tomorrow, and we're still in the FTSE trade, we should be in pretty good shape, because the chances are this will at least try and form an evening star from this point. So that's what I'm really playing here. I'm trying to play the longer term time frames, and I'm hoping my entry is good enough. So I'd like to hold on if I can. So I'm going to resist 61.35 unless I see some genuine price action that's going to hold that point for, I suppose, at least an hour. But if it does, then I'm going to have to take some profit there, you know. But I'd love to hold out and not have to, because if this does turn into a negative bar, then we've got a pretty good price. You know, we're at the weekly high, and you know, coming down and potentially giving us a properly negative bar could see us down. And you can see why I've picked the 6,000 level, because it starts to run in to this area at the lower end of the weekly range. So 6,000 would be the real take profit. You know, that's a harder line there to really start to try and take profit. But 61.35 is a soft target for right now if we need to. Yeah, so really, oh, well, if the euro pound is short, finally we do have a genuine trade for this one, because this was, as you know, it's one of my key trades really for the week. I've been talking about this quite a lot over the course of the two shows. Really like this one. It hasn't come to my price point as yet, but I really like this one. For some downside. Look at the weekly bar. It does suggest that this could go, this could travel. Lovely head and shoulders pattern, really good. In fact, there's head and shoulders within head and shoulders. We are on a neckline. And let's talk about the pound. That's what we're looking at. So we're at the lower end of the right shoulder here, and that does become a bit of a buy zone. So there might well be some kickback first. So I wouldn't be looking at if you're tempted to get in short, I wouldn't be looking at a short just yet. Let it break the neckline now. It's far too close. And then just for those of you that don't know, here's the measured move that you would do on that. You're just going to measure the 2 points between the high of the neckline and the high of the shoulders and the low of the neckline, and then just give yourself a line and take that line and give yourself a measurement. And it looks like this area down here, 89.06, is a target. That's a price target by the looks of that on the pound, which looks pretty good actually for a price target, because it looks like it's in conjunction and it does have some agreement with this area here. So that's where I'd be looking for the euro to come to against the pound. Now you might get another entry. It's going to struggle, isn't it? Right. I mean, both those trend lines are suggesting this price today. And there's already resistance there. Let's have a look if there's a pivot there as well. Yeah, pivot there as well. So the daily pivot looks like a really good point to try and get in this one short. You've got a trend line along here. along with a trend line along here. The fib might not get us back there. That fib's a bit high. Let's just check yesterday's range on a fib. Yeah, looks like there is a fib on yesterday's range as well. So price point on the euro pound now is suggesting that we're looking at 0. You can round that up. Nice round number as well. Yeah, there's your price point on the pound versus the euro pound. Obviously, you want those two. So there's the price point on the pound, and looks like the targets are down to around about the double check targets. We say down here, didn't we? 0.891 maybe. Back down to the low. So there's the entry price there, and a target of that. Yeah, looks like that looks about right. That looks about right. Right. FTSE hasn't really gone anywhere. The S&P is continuing to hold its price above the daily pivots. The DAX is just about holding pat right now, not really doing too much. Oh, now let's just talk about the pound. So the reason the pound is going up, in my opinion, is that there is just a lot of stimulus, and maybe the right kind of stimulus for investors. You know, that's what it's ultimately going to come down to. There's green investment going on, infrastructure, potentially infrastructure investment. And what was announced yesterday? Oh, and the stamp duty as well. Now, I don't know what that means for foreign investors, but if foreign investors can get a holiday on stamp duty in the UK housing market has traditionally been very, very good, or property market, I should say, has been very, very good. So all these things are kind of leading to a potentially stronger economy and potentially stronger investment class with the right kind of aid, you know, to try and promote those investments. So I you know, that's why the UK is doing so well. You know, that's why the pound is doing so well, in my opinion. I just think that the government are making the right noises. Oh, the euro's died, is it? It's dying off. Hold on, let me just see if I can get news on in the back in my ear in the background. 1 second. Not sure about that. The let's just have a look at that. So the euro's dying against the pound. Let's just see what we got here. Euro dying against the pound. How's the pound doing against? Not climbing that much against the Aussie. The pound is pretty strong right across the board. So Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, looks like he's made a positive choice right now. The big gamble will be if it doesn't work, then there is going to be trouble there. So why is the euro dying? Down against the Aussie, against the CAD, against the Swissy, against the yen, and against the it is, isn't it? Positive news as well. London allowed to access to EU markets. Now, I haven't heard that. Where did you hear that, mate? I haven't heard too much about the deal. Let's have a look. What would have made the euro do that? Well, there's nothing in the data. There's nothing in the data right now that would suggest the euro to tank. So just showing you that there's nothing there. What's going on with? The DAX just a little bit weaker, but still looks okay. I mean, really, ultimately, a weaker currency should help the DAX out. It is weakening somewhat, which obviously I want if I'm going to be holding firm on the FTSE. What was I going to check? Oh yeah. I don't see anything. I don't see what has just moved the euro like that. I doubt it's a price point. Anybody see a headline? There's got to be something going on. Everybody have a little scurry around and see if you can see any headlines. I don't see anything on the BBC site. I don't see anything on Bloomberg. Let me see if there's anything on my other news feed here. No, I see some news on some shares, but not. But why, John? That's the thing. Why are they doing that? You know, they don't tend just to do things for no reason. Why are they doing it now? And was there a because it spiked against everything? I mean, in a way, you could be right. That they are doing it for a wide fundamental reason, but it's unusual to see all of it go in one hit like that. So it suggests something's happened. Could be wrong, but I doubt it. Right, FTSE's are now pushed into that area that really we might need to consider taking something off here. That might not be the reason though, Dennis. Let's see what's going on with the DAX. Yeah, it's still above that level. Might need to take profit on the FTSE. Let's have a look at these. Just have a look at this price action just for a little while and see whether some action needs to be taken. No, it's pretty much reacted to the pip to that 61.35 level, so that needs to break down if we're going to hold on here. I guess the next 5 minutes might tell us quite a lot. You know, that starts to push to the upside. Going to need to take a bit off the table, I think. Can't find too much, so it's just I'm just going to have a look at Reuters as well and see if they're reporting anything. No, I don't see anything. Yeah, I don't see a whole bunch there. Don't see a whole bunch which suggests anything to me about why the euro is doing that. No, because the thing with the well, look at the dollar. The dollar has pushed to the upside, yes, and against the Aussie, it's kind of not really doing too much against that. So let's have a look at the yes, against the euro, it's stronger. But look at it against the pound. Now that's the real outlier in a way. Actually, yeah, the pound dollar is pushing down as well, isn't it? Okay, so we are seeing some strength in the dollar. Now I could do with some dollar strength if I'm honest. If I'm going to be holding on to these current this FTSE. A little bit of strength there, but not a whole bunch. Not there either. It looks to me like a euro story than anything else. You know, if you look at euro versus all other currencies, it's just dying off. So it looks like a euro related situation rather than anything else. Such a lovely looking pattern that. Would have been a great price point if there was a way to protect against that. That would have been great. So Dow is just pushing under the 26,000 level. Going to be quite significant with the Dow if it does manage to hold under the 26,000 level or in or around 25,900 would be the best. Because it'd be under the monthly pivot, but we are also seeing a head and shoulders pattern really forming on the Dow as well. So so with that, we are seeing just you know, in a few cases that that we might well have a just so it's nice and clear for you guys. There's the head and shoulders there. Gets down there, maybe it breaks through. It's got a lot to get through. It's still got to get through the weekly pivot there, but it's under the daily. It gets through the monthly, then it should have a bit of open water to start moving lower. Might not happen before the US jobs data, but there's just a little bit of potential weakness stepping in to the market today. So I'm watching that 2600 level. Let's check out the S&P. Now the S&P, it may well be stretching the relationship a little bit, but I also do see a potential for this to be a head and shoulders as well, going with a neckline along here. So there's our left shoulder. Now it's a slanted up head and shoulders, but it looks to me like that might be in existence. So again, if it can get through the daily pivot in this this scenario, that's got the green light to go to the downside. Earnings seasons next week. Now that's a thing that's really kind of encouraging me. The DXY 96.4 is down. Hopefully the Frenchies. Yeah, you might be saved, but pretty significant move though. I would say for the euro to be saved. Now the VIX is not. VIX is picking up a little bit actually, but it doesn't look that good. Where's the dollar? Dollar spot. Yeah, the dollar index is just pushing up, isn't it, into a sell zone on a daily time frame. That's got a lot of work to do. I don't know what you think about that. The price of that, Dennis, but I would suggest it's got to get to 97. It's got to close around the 97. You saw a thing on the DX traders. The guy had a chart with not pairs, but singly currencies like the Aussie, Swiss. Let me see if I can understand what you mean. Risk on to the top, risk off to the lower end. Saw a thing on DX. Oh, okay. DX is the channel, right? The guy had a chart with the single currencies like the Aussie, the Swiss, the dollar, the yen, and the CAD, etc., showing risk on, risk off. I'm going to have to look at that actually. Risk on, risk off. Yeah, I'll have a look. I have to have a look what the context is on that. If you mean that he had a spreadsheet, or do you mean a chart? Did he have a chart? Oh, yeah, the chart. The chart, not with the pairs, but with single currencies. Ten currencies in one chart. Okay. I'll have to look at that, mate. I've not never seen that myself, so I'll have to have a look at that and see if I can figure out what it is exactly that you mean and whether it's possible to set up on something like this. Just check this FTSE again here. Yeah, that's still pretty good, isn't it? The last half an hour, sorry, the last 15-minute bar does not suggest that we are starting to move in positive territory, nor do these 5-minute bars at present. So we can still hold on to our soft target down here at currently. Yeah. So sorry. Let me quickly do that. Is that on YouTube or is that something else? DX Traders. I've not heard of these guys. Yeah, let me know. Was that something you found on YouTube, Dennis? I can certainly look into it and see whether that's something that we can achieve. I mean, we can achieve whatever we want as long as we have data. Because if we've got data, then we can use Excel to produce charts and data points. But I'd have to actually see what he did, and then I could figure out how it's done. No, I don't think you're gonna be able to post a link if that's what you're looking for. So don't worry about posting a link. YouTube will probably remove it because they don't allow you to do stuff like that. But if you just let me know if it was on YouTube, then I'll find it. Daily FX. Okay. Let me have a look. FTSE continues to be a little bit weaker. The DAX, I'm just checking out as well and seeing what likelihood that is. Yeah, the DAX has actually got a lot weaker. So I think that there's a potential downdraft in the DAX as well now. I mean, you'd still want to see it break down the pivot here, but that's starting to look really good for some significant downside now. Well, relatively speaking, let's say, you know, the relative significant relative downside with this one as well. So DAX looks good for some downside. See, the euro obviously has weakened. Don't always correlate, but in this situation it may well do. So European stocks and indices are looking heavy, and they look like they're going to continue to be that way. Right, daily FX. Dennis, are you in? You're not in the US show, are you? We could have had a proper look at this in the US show. Only because you could have actually tell me where you found it in that. You can't tell me here because say YouTube won't allow you to do that on a public arena. But if you're not in the US show, that's going to make it tricky. Because I'm just on the site, but I can't find. It's going to take me a bit of sifting. I'm not sure where you've got that from, unless it's. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to be able to provide what you need. No problem, mate. No problem. It's not a requirement at all, and I'm not pushing you into doing that. It just would be easier just because we can just talk a bit more openly in the US show because there's no YouTube involved. It's just straight on Zoom. All right, mate. I'll have a dig around. I'm on the. Oh, okay. All right. Fine. No problem. No problem. Yeah, you might find actually that it's worth doing it the other way around in some respects, but because we'll still cover things in that might make it easy to understand the price action. But that's fine. If that's the way around you want to do it, then do it the way that you're comfortable with. But we will have a look at that. If I can't find it myself, then I'll try and maybe I'll wait until you're in that, or maybe you can tell me when you do the course or something like that. So we'll figure that one out. Right. Aside from that, really. Oh no, don't join just to talk to me. Don't join just to talk to me. I mean, don't not join if you think that it might be confusing, because it's not. It's probably easier to get into that first and then do the price action thing. You know, they're kind of interrelated, but not in many respects. So they you don't have to wait for the price action course to understand what's going on in the US show. But don't join it just to kind of tell me about this one website. You know, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Yeah, no worries. Well, yeah, do it only against YouTube deleting it. That's the thing you gotta watch out for. Jeff and I put links on here before, and we found that nobody's found them because YouTube just block it. So yeah, you can't do a direct link. So yeah, if you can do it in secret code, you know, we can all kind of have a look at it without the prying eyes. Anyway, I don't really have too much else, and as I'm completely on my own today. I'm probably going to wrap it up. Jeff will be in next week. I think his mum sounds a lot better, and he said to me that he's going to be in next week, and probably for the next 2 weeks. Actually, I will be in the US show later on. I'm not sure if anybody's even joining me in there, so it might just be me in there as well. So I guess those of you that will be joining me in the US show might be a good time to ask me what you want. Oh, of course, mate. Yeah, let's have a look. WTI and Brent. Nia, what happened yesterday with the inventories? I was going to look at this. Crude inventories. See, I would have thought that that would push it down, but that's why I was just reading now. I don't know why that wouldn't have weakened that off a little bit. Now, Ainsley did say yesterday about the levels being respected on crude. And now, where are you? It's XTI on this one, isn't it? Where is it? Oh, there it is. It's right on resistance, isn't it? I mean, similar to the stock market in many respects. You know, similar to global equities in many respects. It does look like it could weaken from this point. Let me just check something. Let me see. Yeah, you see, on these longer term time frame, there's no doubt. You look at this on the monthly as well. Now there is the head and shoulders pattern, and this is the way I was trying to explain. Sort of like you can see this one and see if it did actually work out as well. That looks like the neckline there. Now I'm not doing this for no reason. I just want to see if it's had its run. So there's your left shoulder there. There's your head, and there's your right shoulder there. And measured move comes from the boundary between the right shoulder and the the shoulders and the neckline. Oh yeah, well and truly, actually. So it's actually had its run. So we're no longer really paying attention. Well, the only thing is actually it hasn't retested. Now, is the line there? Now this is the thing that that could. It does look like the level's there, doesn't it? It's got a good chance of getting to 51 or around 50. Looking at that, and if it was to get to 50, we might well see some downside. But looking at it, it's weak. You know, it's definitely weak. There is a horizontal level along here. Let's just see how strong that line is. Don't see a lot on that. There's also a horizontal level there, which is a better one. No, that's a 45, and then you've got the neckline. Sorry, then you got the head and shoulders. Now the head and shoulders might well be a slanted. That looks better actually. We got a touch there, and a touch down the bottom, obviously where it starts. So this this trend line looks around about the right one. I don't know whether that's going to give us the right thing on the shoulders. Let's see. Yeah, it's not the worst in the world, is it? It's okay, but that does kind of put it up there. Let's have a look on a fib. It's getting to 61.8 of that move. 61.8 leads you back in here as well, but there is potentially some resistance there. Let's have a look on some. There's a 61.8 here as well, so could be some weakness around about the 40, between 40 and 43, maybe. Let's just see if we can get a fib on a proper time level. It's up, isn't it? So you can't do anything with that. Let's have a look from the start of the year. Okay, range from the start of the year from high to low so far. Yeah, that doesn't get beyond 43 either. Now you can see that these fibs are a little bit so far, they're going to be a bit creative, because really the high from the highest point of the year so far to where to the lowest point of the year so far, and it comes back, doesn't respect it here, and it could have done. There's a definite area of resistance there, but doesn't respect it there, doesn't respect it here, and again it could have done loads in that area. Here is a bit it's a bit better, because in some respects it does actually sort of respect the fib and the level here, but really WTI, look at it. I mean, it's really interesting when you look at it like this. It cruises up to this level, breaks straight through, cruises up to the next level, breaks straight through, cruises up to the next level, breaks straight through. Then that's the first test of any kind of area of potential resistance, which has now become support. Now the next area is up here, so it looks like 43. It looks like 43.20. Now, what this does suggest to me is that this is probably the right price point for downside, 36.51. So we might get caught in a bit of a range here. So if you're looking for downside on this, I know the monthly pivot's here, but I wonder whether this is a better price point, the 31. It's got a lot to get through. Now, if we look at yeah, that trend line is suggesting pivot tests as well. So coming down to 39 currently, I would probably still be looking for upside on WTI until we see the 43.30, let's say, 4 and then all the threes. If we see 43.30, then we might start looking for something a bit more of a significant down turn. But so far it looks like it's going to hold on here and just come back into the weekly pivot and the trend line. So I'd look out to be in a buy zone around 39.60 and in a sell zone around 43.30. But I think you're right, John. I don't think there's anything else from what I can surmise from this. I don't observe anything else which suggests that we should be doing anything but waiting on this. Yeah, and you're right, Roy. And the thing is that there's no point in going with the estimate, because they're always way off. You have to wait until the numbers released. Oh, great. Okay, so there's still an opportunity with the euro pound. Might struggle to get up there, but you never know. Mm. We'll see what happens there. Okay, guys. Well, I'm gonna push off, and I will see some of you in the US show later. For the rest of you, I will see you in 3 weeks' time. I think 3 Mondays' time. No, 2 Mondays. Yeah, 3 Mondays' time. I'll be in for the last week in August to give Jeff his second break. Have a great time, and for the next couple of weeks. And thanks so much for joining me. And as it's just me, I will see you. Well, in fact, Jeff will see you on Monday at 5 to 8. So don't be late.